For a while now, I have had the desire to try a little project of my own and do a little bit of creative writing and maybe even some audio and video editing for YouTube. This is my first attempt at the project. I'll talk a little bit more about it afterwards, but for now, I think we should get right into it. So, I am the author and narrator, Alex, and this is part one of Should You Always Help? Heart thudding, pulse racing, feet pounding, breath coming in gasps. The hallway flashing by, and thin beams of faint yellow light filtering through the cracks in the shutters. In these glimpses, a tall blonde could be seen sprinting. It was all she could do. Every time she paused, she heard it behind her. Somehow always there. Heavy footfalls just at the edge of hearing. How the hell was it always still there? Need to think, the girl gasped out, slowing slightly as the hallway came to an end. I can't just keep running. Speaking her mind helped her focus, recenter, and maybe even start planning. Turning the corner left into another long hallway, she took a moment to glance behind her. In that brief instant, she didn't glimpse anything but darkness. But then the darkness shifted, blocking out the light just a few windows behind her. Oh shit. Oh shit, 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 shit. She turned back forward and kept running, nearly tripping over herself in her panic. After only a few strides, a voice hissed in an urgent whisper from ahead to her left. Hey, in here! Hide! Turning on a dime, she slammed her shoulder into the frame of an open door and managed to stumble forward into the inky blackness, the dim glow from the hallway only intruding a few feet through the entrance. Scrambling blindly backwards into a corner of the unfamiliar room, she kept her gaze firmly locked on the doorway. Hello, the young woman gasped out, trying to catch her breath. Who's there? Hush! The stranger replied in a tense whisper from somewhere off to her left. She's almost here. The blonde opened her mouth to snap back when heavy footfalls and the sound of rustling fabric came into hearing. Sliding down the wall to crouch in the corner, the blonde tried her best to disappear into the darkness, covering her mouth with her hands so that not even the sound of shaky breathing would give her away. She waited. Seconds felt like hours as the footsteps got steadily closer. She could hear when it slowed to turn the corner, and knew that just a few steps separated the young woman from whatever it was out there. Deciding to hide was starting to feel like a bad decision. The adrenaline and tension were already fraying at her nerves. She was trapped in here with someone she didn't know and hiding from, well, something. At least when running, she was moving, acting under her own power. Cowering in this corner, she felt every heartbeat, was hyper aware of the silence surrounding her, knowing any noise would give her away. God forbid that she bump into something in the pitch black. Then, just as starting to run again felt like a really good idea, it was already too late. Darkness fell over the doorway. A deeper black than the shadows around it, the form was massive, blotting out all of the already meager light from the hallway. The young woman's breath caught in her throat from the terror of being trapped in this dead-end room. But mercifully, without even hesitating, the dark form continued down the hallway, its footsteps receding down the hall to the left. The blonde slumped back into the corner and let her hands fall from her mouth with a sigh. Taking a seat, she felt the tension drain from her as the footsteps moved farther away. It wasn't much of a reprieve, but she would take whatever she could get. Still catching her breath after running, she wiped the sweat from her forehead with the sleeve of her red flannel. The blonde loved this shirt, but it certainly wasn't meant for sprints. As her breathing slowed, she squinted into the darkness around her. Deciding it was safe enough to risk a whisper, she said, Hello, where are you? After a brief pause with no response. My name's Rachel. Thank you for the hiding place. Who would have guessed that would actually work? She chuckled nervously. What's your name? How about we get out of here first? The voice finally replied from out in the darkness. Definitely a guy's voice, Rachel thought, and the owner didn't sound more than a few feet away. Hell, that might as well have been a mile in this blackness. Rachel couldn't even see a hand waved in front of her face. She started to reply, but the asshole cut her off again. She kept going to the left, so I think we should go back the way you came. We need to beat her back to the stairs. How were you dumb enough to run upstairs anyway? Already sick of being interrupted, the blonde narrowed her eyes and got ready to spit out a retort. Before she could, the stranger continued in a more placating tone. Before she beats us there, we really don't want to get trapped. Sighing, Rachel swallowed her anger and thought for a second. She did remember that hallway. She had just been sprinting through it after all, and she had to admit that it seemed like the main throughway for the building. It wouldn't be too hard for her, whoever or whatever she was, to cut them off. They needed to move. At the very least, Rachel reasoned, going the opposite direction had to be a better idea than following it, right? Rachel took a breath and faced the direction of the mystery man. Alright, let's go for it. That was the end of part 1. I hope you enjoyed it, getting to meet our heroine and her mystery savior, and whatever it is chasing them. Part 2 will be out before long, but I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this, and I greatly appreciate any feedback. This was my first attempt at such a project, so if the audio mixing or even the story just seems off to you, please, by all means, let me know. Thank you. Bye.